Every year in Texas, thousands of lives are stolen in plain sight. Human trafficking hides behind everyday places, everyday people, everyday silence. Senate Bill 1212 marks a new chapter in the fight. But laws alone can't save lives.
For the nation. And I want to thank you humbly for finding your place, for accepting being saved, for giving us some grace for not doing what we were supposed to do. I apologize to you. And I will tell you we will never do that again.
Survivors typically do not identify as victims of human trafficking. But what first initially brought me into this movement, unfortunately, was my family and I's own lived experience. When I was in high school, I was a junior in Katy ISD, had grown up in Houston and Katy, Texas my whole life, and I was first targeted and groomed at my high school.
You've probably heard about human trafficking, but what does it include?
Human trafficking is when someone, through force, fraud, or coercion, is made to engage in the commercial sex trade or labor services.
Well, No Trafficking Zone was originally started as an initiative under an organization called Break the Cycle. The reason why was because we were breaking down human trafficking into markets, and we wanted to break those markets down into zones. The reason why those zones are so important is because since human trafficking is such an intricate crime, sometimes it can be overwhelming. And so SB 1831, when we were recovering children with law enforcement and working with survivors like Courtney and others, we would get to learn about how they were trafficked. And a big part was schools, the intersection of schools, whether it was a former student that had graduated, or it was still peer-on-peer exploitation, it was a coach, it was a teacher, it was all of the above, gangs. And so we realized that schools were a big playground for predators and trafficking rings. And we realized that if we didn't make this a first-degree felony, which is 25 to 99 years, it would continue to happen.
Will impact Houston. Law enforcement officers are expected to focus on Bissonnette Street in Southwest Houston. The area between Beltway 8 and the Southwest Freeway is nationally known for prostitution.
So over the past couple of decades, Bissonnette has been an extremely challenging area for the city of Houston. And this is the stretch between US 59 and Beltway 8. It was called the Bissonnette Track. And it was known for a lot of prostitution, human trafficking, gangs, drug sales. Just was an area that was really not safe, was not thriving, and was just going in the wrong direction. And people saw that area as a place that was easily accessible, whether from Beltway 8 or from US 59, to then get off of those exits, be in an area that did not have a lot of amenities and resources, and then utilize it as a place where we can put women out on the street to then have individuals come by to buy sex. And so that was the reputation and the trend, and it started to grow and grow and grow and became a place that was nationally known as a trafficking hub. But I wanted to change that. And so when I got elected 6 years ago, I knew I was coming into a situation where that was going to have to be a priority. I didn't know exactly what I was going to do, but I knew it was something that we had to attack.
You know, being on the street, you gotta come with $900, and then from the weekend, you can't come back unless you have $1,500 a night.
Well, we've seen a big difference in the past year since we kind of rearranged all our protocols to be more trauma-informed, which I say that, but now our mission is identify the problem, investigate, address it in a more victim-centered approach.
For this crime, we are the #1 city in the country, and therefore, after multiple years in the life of human trafficking, which also commonly is referred to as the game, the life, I was trafficked throughout the country in the life for approximately 3 years. So Senate Bill 1212 is such a miracle from God that it passed unanimously at the Texas legislature. So No Trafficking Zone has helped champion multiple very important bills based on the testimonies of survivors like myself, advocates, NGOs, and also law enforcement and mothers who have lost their children to the crime of human trafficking, and that included Mary Wells, whose daughter Julia Wells was tragically killed in Dallas, Texas, in our great state of Texas. Her trafficker had not been convicted for previous victims that he had killed, and he in fact ended the life of this beautiful, precious girl who was autistic, on the spectrum, and she was killed right before her senior prom after being pushed out of a car going almost 90 miles an hour. And this tragically ended her life, but this was not the first of her traffickers' victims. So Mary Wells joined our president of No Trafficking Zone, my incredible advocate, Jacqueline Aludo. We all came together as a team to assess what are the gaps. Why are so many victims being re-victimized by traffickers who have already not only exploited but killed other children? Adult victims deserve just as much, focus, but children. So under the law, human trafficking is defined by force, fraud, and or coercion, but when you are under the age of 18, you do not have to prove force, fraud, or coercion as means to traffic somebody for illicit sex and or forced labor. So Senate Bill 1212 stemmed from these experiences by both parents of survivors and victims who lost their lives, such as Mary Wells and Julia Wells, but also with different advocates coming together, and myself and other survivor leaders who said we need greater penalties to be able to enforce in the laws in the state of Texas, because this crime too often has been high reward and low risk.
But this is the fight of our time, to make certain that we are addressing this horrific crisis that affects everyone in this state and in this nation. It knows no limitations, the horrific work that these traffickers do. And under Governor Abbott's leadership, the Lieutenant Governor, our incredible legislature, we will continue to make certain that human trafficking is eradicated in Texas once and for all. Thank you again, Governor.
And I want them to know that human trafficking is happening. Texas is one of the #1 markets, and we're not going to stand for it. So to see SB 1212 happen, to make the whole state of Texas the no trafficking zone, to make that crime 25 to 99 years, is so important, because when you break down how children are preyed upon, how our most marginalized and vulnerable communities are preyed upon, we need to make every community a no trafficking zone, because a lot of those kids don't have resources. A lot of children in the foster care, they don't have parents to fight for them. A lot of kids, youth aging out of foster care that become adults, they don't have a family to advocate for them. And so we need laws to be the advocates. We need judges to enforce those laws, because when you do that, it sends a message to all predators, to all organized crime, to all cartel networks. And it says, we are not going to tolerate this. And in the past, human trafficking is so lucrative, you could make $300,000 to $500,000 off of a victim. And it was a very slap on the wrist. It was a high reward, low risk crime. Now, it is a high risk crime that if you are a trafficker, you are going to get penalized. And so it's just, it's a dream come true. It's a dream come true in this environment, to have Republicans and Democrats come together to understand that this isn't about politics. This is about America. This is about every community. This is about every child and person, that no one should be enslaved. And so I'm very proud of the state of Texas and all the survivor leaders who were brave enough to come forward, and law enforcement to walk the halls with them and fight for this together.